Hey everybody, it's Emily Leach with the Freelance Conference. I know we had an interview earlier today, and this interview is pretty cool. I am super psyched to be on the phone with, or online with, Aliza Sir. Did I say that correctly?
It's Aliza, no worries.
Aliza? I knew there was a 50-50 chance, right? Of me getting that one. And she's with AARP Foundation. And these guys came out and was a part of the Freelance Business Week in Denver. So I got a chance to meet Rebecca, her cohort, and talk about a platform that they're putting together or have put together called SelfSaver. Tell me just real quickly about what SelfSaver is and what y'all's goal is in that platform.
Yeah, Emily, thank you so much for having me. And we're so excited to be partnering with the Freelance Conference. So we at AARP Foundation don't think that freelancers should have to manage their own taxes. We know that it is one of those things that is the bane of everybody's existence.
Not the funnest part, correct?
And for anybody that, that is working for an employer, it's something that our employers take care of. And so SelfSaver is actually a tool to be able to do that for freelancers and anybody earning 1099 income.
Awesome. So talk a little bit about how that happens, because it's like, oh, that sounds great. How do they know what I'm making is the first question that kind of comes up.
Yeah, exactly. And we want to make sure that it's secure. So anytime that we're talking about managing our finances, the first question that we get, of course, is this secure? So the way, and I'll get into that, the way that SelfSaver works, we use machine learning. So we've looked at, and the way that Ament.com has looked at all of these different transactions to be able to identify what you're earning and which is a paycheck or what is maybe just a check that you received from a friend for your birthday.
Okay.
So what happens is you sync up your bank account to SelfSaver. It's going to populate all of your earnings, and it's going to make recommendations on paychecks that you need to be withholding on. And then it's going to look at, similarly, your expenses and make suggestions about where you could actually itemize certain expenses like printing or mileage or anything that's associated with your business to decrease your tax bill. And you can itemize those all together in one place to decrease that tax bill. And then SelfSaver makes a recommendation about how much you need to withhold into a separate account so that when you need to file quarterly taxes, you're set up and ready to do that. SelfSaver actually files quarterly taxes for you if you decide to use that feature. Yes. So we automate that entire process of dealing with the IRS. And then at the end of the year, when your annuals are due, we hear from people all the time, particularly folks that are getting into freelancing for the first time, and they've never done this before, but even folks that have been doing this for years, how it's really difficult to estimate and get a true picture of what you're going to owe at the end of the year. This actually makes it possible so that, similar to people earning income through an employer, you actually are likely to get something back at the end of the year if you've been filing your quarterlies correctly. I mentioned the security of it. All of your filings, your withholdings are put into an FDIC insured account. We use bank grade security to protect all of your transactions that are on SelfSaver. And if you do not feel comfortable syncing up your bank account, although we recommend, just because there's so much power in that automation so that you can focus on the other parts of your business that you really need to focus on. But if you decide not to, you can always, of course, use our manual entry feature and still get all of the power of SelfSaver.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I know you guys are going to do a workshop, and she does a great job of diving into this. There's a small workbook, and you kind of go through some processes, which was amazing to me. And just to relieve the burden, I guess, because one of the things that I noticed with freelancers, it sounds like you guys have hit on this, is when a lot of us take that first jump, we look at this payment that we have coming in, and let's just deal with super easy numbers of $1,000.
Yeah.
Then it looks like, because we're so accustomed to a paycheck coming in, and it's, the paycheck was $1,000. But what we don't remember or tend to just forget is that it was really maybe $1,250.
Exactly.
Because it covered all these other things. And so out of just culture and habit, we tend to spend the entire $1,000 feeling like we have it. And then at the end of it, that's where that that issue comes. So this is really solving that issue, correct?
Exactly. It's that exactly. And there's a rule of thumb. What folks generally recommend, what the IRS recommends, is that if you're self-employed, if you're a freelancer, you should be saving about 30% of the amount that you take home to be putting aside into paying your taxes. And that's really high. It's higher than actually
Really
what we
high.
for folks that are working through an employer, because freelancers are responsible for covering their own Social Security as well. So SelfSaver is going to help you make sure that you cover Social Security, that you cover both federal and state taxes. And while that 30% rule of thumb may work for some, for others, it's going to look very different depending on how many expenses I mentioned that you're able to itemize and write off. So there's so much customization that is required. We also know that a lot of folks are have multiple jobs. So you could be doing multiple types of freelancing. And that's where we hear from folks that it gets really challenging, because you're actually just trying to get an accurate picture of how much did I make this quarter or this month. And
yeah.
I recommend that anybody just go onto our website, selfsaver.org, and you'll see just the power of having that breakdown of how much did I earn, how much do I need to be setting aside, and then you can make decisions about how to do that and stay prepared.
So I'm trying to figure out how to articulate this. Is there a recommendation between, I know you talked earlier about there's a checking account that you would connect with SelfSaver, and it will, through machine learning over time, learn which things are business related and which things are personal. Would you recommend that, as a business owner, that you should possibly have your own separate business account anyway? Would that simplify the entire process and make it even stronger using your platform?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, AARP Foundation can't make recommendations for how to run your business.
Okay. Yes, you're right.
So I'm hedging a bit on that. However, it is, of course, that's a general standard practice that is going to make it easier to separate, particularly when you're looking at both your earnings, but also your expenses. But the reality is that we know that a lot of people's lives are blended, particularly when we're talking about seniors and folks that might be earning Social Security, or you could even still have some W-2 income, but be freelancing on the side and not necessarily be operating as a full business yet.
Okay.
So SelfSaver is going to simplify that process for folks.
So does it take into account the W-2 income to kind of help offset taxes and stuff?
Yes, exactly.
That's amazing.
Yes, all of that. When you set up your profile, so you're going to answer a series of questions so that we understand what your tax profile is, so that those recommendations are fully customized to that.
Oh, fabulous. So tell everybody real quick, just a little bit about, I spilled the beans a little bit about the Freelance 101 class that you guys are doing, Finance 101, but could you give a little insight from, your perspective?
Sure. Excited for you all to go through that. And we actually provide a workbook, which you've seen, that we use in that session. I think what we want to be doing is, in addition to providing the SelfSaver tool, which we think is really powerful and folks should be using, but do some myth busting and some education around what it means to be a freelancer and what you need to be thinking about with your finances, both with taxes, but generally as well. So a great example, the number of times I've been with somebody who is driving for Uber and they tell me that, I don't think I'm going to have to pay self-employment taxes this year. I don't need to pay quarterlies because I drive so much that I'm able to write everything off. And that's actually probably not accurate. And so we want people to be informed, to get ahead of this so that they don't find themselves in kind of having to figure it out later after the fact.
Yeah.
The different types of expenses that are deductible versus not, all of that, the timing of quarterly payments. A lot of folks don't actually know that as a freelancer, you need to file these quarterly payments. So providing education around that. And then what I love about the workshop is that it's an opportunity to bring people together to talk about their overall goals for why they're freelancing. I think that's the most powerful piece, is that at the end of the day, we're freelancing because we want financial freedom, or we want to pursue a passion, or we're really good at something that we need to bring to others. And when we are able to focus on that, then we're going to be much more successful.
I love that. I love that mission that this is taken care of, because it's a huge gap that really needs to be taken care of by communities and organizations that really have their hands around all of it. And you guys have a really great background and track record in that. So thanks so much for your part in pulling this together and being a part of Freelance Conference. So you guys are going to be there on the 28th. You'll be in the market showcase, so people can come over and kind of play with stuff the day before, ask some questions, and get prepared. And then, of course, you'll also be there on the 29th during Tech Tuesday for the workshop. It is Freelance Finance 101, and it is already in the agenda. So again, thank you guys so much. Rebecca's coming out, I guess, for this one as well.
I'm so sorry I won't be able to make it. I'm actually going off to get married.
Oh, bummer. No, congratulations.
Thank you. But Rebecca is incredible. And once again, we're so excited to be partnering with Freelance Conference.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing some of what you guys are doing. And thank you again for all the time and effort that your organization as a whole has put into putting together a platform like this. This is fabulous.
Thank you. It's great to meet you. Thanks for giving me a chance to talk a little bit more about it. And we look forward to meeting more of you.
Awesome. Again, this is Emily Leach. I'm the founder of the Freelance Conference. If you have not got your ticket yet, you can get that over at freelanceconference.com/freecon19. There's still a few tickets left, and we will see you in just about a week and a half. Bye, guys.